Some people notice the sound of a room before anything else. Not the voices. The space between them. A chair moves. Someone clears a throat. A clock keeps going. They stand there longer than needed. Not waiting. Just standing. Nothing feels broken. Nothing feels new. The moment holds. Some people used to fill spaces without trying. A comment here. A laugh there. Now the space fills itself. Morning comes the same way it always did. Light through the window. The same street noise. They get up. They wash their hands. They move through small routines that never ask questions. The mirror shows the same face. No sign is missing. No sign is added. Some people notice they take a breath and keep it longer. Not to calm down. Just because no one needs the air yet. A phone lights up. A message waits. They read it once. Then again. They answer later. Not out of thought. Out of pause. The day opens slowly. Like it always has. Some people walk past conversations without stepping into them. They hear their name used softly. Then not at all. It feels ordinary. Almost polite. They sit where they usually sit. Hands resting. Eyes open. The world continues its small performances. People explain things that do not need explaining. People repeat stories that already landed once. Some people listen without leaning forward. They do not disagree. They do not add. Silence does not feel heavy yet. It feels clean. A kind of neatness settles in. The room breathes on its own. Some people notice they no longer rush to fill gaps. A sentence ends. They let it end. No follow-up. No echo. Time passes in small units. A few seconds here. A few minutes there. Nothing demands attention. They drink something warm. They taste it fully. They say nothing about it. Others keep talking. Others keep moving. Some people stay slightly behind the moment. Not lost. Just not reaching. The quiet slips in without sound. It does not announce itself. It does not explain. It sits where something else used to be. At first, it feels like relief. Less effort. Less friction. No one notices the change right away. Some people even feel proud of it. The ease. The calm surface. They are still present. Still kind. Still responsive. Just softer. The day does not resist this version of them. It moves smoothly around it. No alarms go off. No one pulls them aside. The quiet blends in. Some people notice evenings stretch longer. Not because time slows. Because there is nothing to interrupt it. They sit with sounds that do not belong to them. Traffic. Distant voices. Their own thoughts stay low. No arguing inside. No rehearsing out loud. The quiet keeps its shape. It becomes familiar. Almost comfortable. Almost invisible. Some people fall asleep this way. Not tired. Not restless. Just still. And when the lights go out, the quiet stays. Some people start noticing small changes in how they move through ordinary moments. Nothing dramatic. Nothing worth pointing out. They stop reaching for the first chance to speak. They wait. Then wait a little more. When someone asks how things are going, they answer with fewer details. The words come out neat. Trimmed. They notice they no longer correct small misunderstandings. If someone gets the story slightly wrong, it stays that way. It feels easier. Some people stop explaining their tone. They let pauses do the work. They let others guess. At gatherings, they choose seats closer to the edges. Not to hide. Just because it feels natural. They listen more than they talk. Not in a focused way. Just quietly present. Someone shares a problem. Some people nod. They offer a short response. They do not search for the perfect sentence anymore. They notice how often they say, "It's fine." The words fit almost every moment. They end conversations gently. Text messages get shorter. Replies come later. Sometimes not at all. Not from distance. From stillness. Some people stop checking if they were understood. They say what needs to be said once. Then let it go. They no longer feel the pull to be interesting. Stories remain unfinished. Details stay private. When laughter fills the room, they smile without sound. They enjoy it from where they are. They notice they do not feel left out. They feel aside. At work, they do what is needed. Nothing extra. Nothing withheld. They finish tasks without commentary. They leave meetings without replaying them later. Some people stop defending their choices. They let assumptions pass through. They do not follow them home. They notice how rarely they say, "actually." How rarely they interrupt. If someone talks over them, they let it happen. Not from fear. From lack of urgency. The moment moves on without friction. Some people stop sharing plans ahead of time. They mention things after they are done. Or not at all. They notice they no longer announce changes. New habits form quietly. They eat meals without describing the taste. They walk without narrating where they are going. Others may think they are calm. More grounded. Some people accept that description without comment. They stop reacting to small surprises. Good news lands softly. Bad news does the same. Their face stays mostly the same. Inside, there is space. Not empty. Just open. Some people notice they stop asking follow-up questions. Not because they do not care. Because the answer will arrive or it won't. They trust the silence between words. When someone asks for an opinion, they offer a simple one. No extra reasoning. No layers. They let others disagree without responding. Some people notice they no longer rehearse conversations before they happen. They arrive as they are. They leave the same way. There is no tension to release afterward. They stop checking how they came across. The moment has already passed. In photos, they stand slightly apart. Still smiling. Still there. They notice how easy it is not to be noticed. Some people stop telling stories from the past. Not because the memories hurt. Because they do not ask to be spoken anymore. They keep them quietly. They no longer rush to fill awkward pauses. They let them breathe. Sometimes others step in. Sometimes no one does. Both feel acceptable. Some people stop trying to be understood completely. Partial understanding feels sufficient. They notice how little explanation daily life truly needs. They begin to enjoy listening without forming a response. Words arrive. Words leave. Nothing sticks too hard. They notice that their presence takes up less space. Not smaller. Just lighter. And over time, these small choices stop feeling like choices. They become rhythm. Some people do not mark the change. They do not name it. It simply becomes the way they are now. Some people begin to notice that the same moments keep repeating. Not in an obvious way. In a quiet one. They wake up and move through the day with the same light steps. They speak when spoken to. They stop when the sound ends. This happens again the next day. And the next. Nothing forces it. Nothing interrupts it. Some people notice they give the same short answers in different places. At work. At home. With friends they have known for years. The setting changes. The response stays the same. They do not plan this. It simply works. A thought appears. They let it pass. Another follows. It passes too. Over time, fewer thoughts ask to be shared. Some people stop reaching for reactions. They no longer wait for agreement. They no longer wait for surprise. The pattern feels efficient. Less explaining. Less correcting. Less back and forth. The day moves faster this way. Some people notice that silence begins to arrive before they choose it. A conversation slows. They do not speed it up. The pause grows. It stays. Others fill it sometimes. Often, no one does. This becomes familiar. Some people realize they have learned which moments lead to friction. Which words lead to nowhere. They do not list these lessons. They feel them. The body remembers what the mouth no longer says. Over time, they stop offering thoughts that once mattered. Not because they stopped mattering. Because the return was always the same. A nod. A change of subject. The pattern repeats. Some people begin to anticipate the ending of conversations. They sense when interest fades. They stop before it does. This saves time. This saves energy. They notice how rarely they are asked to continue. The quiet feels practical. Some people notice that when they do speak more, the room does not change. The sound enters, then leaves. No echo. They take this in without comment. Over time, speaking starts to feel optional. The pattern deepens. They choose words that cannot be misunderstood. They avoid stories that need context. They keep sentences short. This reduces the chance of misalignment. Some people notice they have become good at predicting reactions. A raised eyebrow. A glance away. They stop mid-sentence sometimes. No one asks them to finish. The moment moves on. The repetition settles into the body. They feel calmer. More even. There are fewer emotional shifts to manage. The pattern does not demand attention. It works quietly in the background. Some people notice they begin to mirror the tone around them. They do not set it. They follow it. This keeps things smooth. No tension builds. No explanation is needed. Over time, they stop bringing energy into rooms. They adjust to what is already there. The pattern becomes self-sustaining. Silence leads to fewer questions. Fewer questions lead to more silence. It loops gently. Some people sense this loop but do not step out of it. There is no reason to. Nothing feels wrong enough. The days continue to function. Responsibilities are met. Connections remain polite. The pattern is invisible from the outside. Some people notice that their internal reactions grow quieter too. Thoughts arrive with less urgency. Feelings pass without needing names. They stop checking what something means. The pattern smooths everything down. Edges soften. Nothing stands out sharply anymore. Some people realize that they have stopped expecting responses. They speak without leaning forward. They share without waiting. This removes disappointment. It also removes anticipation. The pattern continues because it avoids discomfort. It keeps things steady. No one challenges it. No one rewards it either. It simply remains. Some people notice that when something important happens, their first instinct is stillness. They pause. They observe. They do not reach outward. The moment passes quietly. The pattern holds. Over time, this way of moving becomes familiar enough to feel like identity. Not chosen. Not declared. Just repeated. Some people do not remember when it started. They only notice that it is always there now. Some people notice the shift in a very small moment. Not during anything important. Not during a turning point. It happens while doing something ordinary. They are listening to a story they have heard before. They already know how it ends. They wait for the pause where they would usually respond. The pause comes. They do not step into it. And something feels different. Not heavy. Not sharp. Just unfamiliar. Some people realize they are no longer holding anything back. There is simply nothing moving forward. The quiet is not chosen in that moment. It is already there. They notice how easy it feels to stay silent. Too easy. There is no resistance inside. No pull to speak. The realization does not arrive as a thought. It arrives as absence. Something that used to rise does not. Some people remember how it once felt to want to be understood. To shape a sentence carefully. To adjust tone. To try again if it missed. That feeling does not appear now. They could speak. They just do not feel the need. The moment passes. The conversation moves on. And something small settles in. Some people notice it later, when they are alone. Not as regret. As curiosity. They replay the moment briefly. Not to correct it. Just to see it. They realize nothing stopped them from speaking. No fear. No interruption. They simply did not arrive. This is when the shift becomes clearer. The quiet is no longer space. It is distance. Not from others. From expression. Some people recognize that the silence they carry is not rest. It is a closing, not slammed shut, gently eased inward. They notice how much they no longer offer. Opinions that once came naturally. Reactions that once felt automatic. Those things are not hidden. They are inactive. This realization does not cause panic. It does not rush. It sits calmly. Some people feel a faint sense of loss. Not dramatic. Not overwhelming. Just noticeable. Like realizing a familiar sound is gone. They think about moments that should have felt fuller. A shared joke. A disagreement. A quiet confession. They were present for all of them. But only partially. They were there in body. Not fully in voice. The realization sharpens slightly here. Some people understand that they have been shrinking their presence. Not out of harm. Out of adaptation. They adjusted so often that it became invisible. They remember earlier versions of themselves. More responsive. More expressive. Not louder. Just more available. That version is not gone. But it is distant. The quiet has taken its place gently. Some people feel a subtle grief for this. Not because something bad happened. Because something meaningful faded. No one asked it to leave. It left on its own. They notice how rarely they feel the urge to reach out now. To share something unfinished. To say something uncertain. Everything stays contained. The realization deepens without intensity. They see that the cost of the quiet is not loneliness. It is dilution. Moments feel thinner. Connections feel smoother. But less textured. Some people understand that being easy to be around came with a trade. Less friction. Less depth. This thought does not accuse. It observes. They realize they have protected themselves from disappointment so well that they have also stepped away from engagement. Not fully. Just enough. The realization lands here. They see that silence did not only remove noise. It softened desire. The wish to be known. The wish to be met. Those wishes now rest quietly, untouched. Some people sit with this understanding. They do not rush to respond to it. There is no sudden decision. Just clarity. They see the quiet for what it is. Not a flaw. Not a virtue. A cost. Paid slowly. Paid unnoticed. The moment does not change anything immediately. They still speak less. They still listen more. But now they know what is missing. And that knowing stays. Some people begin to notice the effects only after time has passed. Not all at once. In small, ordinary ways. Days feel smoother. Conversations move without resistance. Nothing pulls too hard. On the surface, life becomes easier to manage. Some people move through interactions without tension. They agree when needed. They stay neutral when they don't. Others respond well to this. They feel comfortable. They feel unchallenged. The quiet makes space for others to speak. The room fills without effort. Some people notice they are rarely asked to go deeper. Rarely invited to explain. Rarely pressed for detail. This does not feel like rejection. It feels like adjustment. The world adapts quickly. Some people become reliable listeners. They are trusted. They are included. But not always engaged. The quiet keeps relationships steady. No sharp edges. No misunderstandings. Yet something subtle changes internally. Some people notice their inner life feels flatter. Not empty. Even. High points soften. Low points do too. Emotions arrive already contained. They no longer spill into words. Some people feel calm more often. But they also feel moved less often. Surprises land gently. Disappointments fade quickly. Nothing lingers long enough to echo. They notice they rarely replay conversations. There is nothing to revisit. Internally, there is order. Everything stays in place. The cost appears quietly here. Some people feel less connected to their own reactions. Not detached. Muted. Feelings still exist. They just stay unnamed. This makes days predictable. The quiet removes urgency. It also removes spark. Some people sense that time passes faster this way. Moments blend. Weeks feel similar. There are fewer markers. Internally, there is little friction to slow things down. Some people notice that creativity feels distant. Not gone. Dormant. Ideas come less often. Not because there are none. Because nothing asks them to surface. The quiet does not demand expression. Some people feel safe in this. Others simply feel settled. Neither feels wrong. The world continues to respond neutrally. People smile. People talk. No one complains. The quiet is socially acceptable. Some people notice that when they do express something personal, it feels unfamiliar. The words feel exposed. They return to silence quickly. Internally, solitude grows. Not painful, just present. Some people sit alone without feeling lonely. Yet they also do not feel fully accompanied when with others. The space stays. Relationships remain intact. But they feel thinner. The quiet does not break connections. It stretches them gently. Some people notice they are no longer surprised by themselves. Reactions feel known in advance. Nothing catches them off guard. This brings calm. It also brings sameness. The quiet keeps everything level. Some people sense that they have become observers of their own lives. Participating. But from a step back. The world does not push them forward. It does not pull them back. It lets them remain where they are. The quiet allows life to continue without interruption. And slowly, without announcement, this becomes the shape of things. Some people notice the ending before it arrives. Not as a conclusion. As a feeling that keeps returning. The days do not ask for more. They unfold as expected. Morning follows night. There is comfort in this rhythm. Some people move through it without resistance. They wake. They work. They rest. Nothing demands explanation. The quiet remains present but unspoken. It sits beside them in ordinary moments. Some people hear it in empty rooms. Others hear it in crowded ones. It does not change shape. There is no moment where everything becomes clear. No single thought that ties it together. Understanding stays partial. Some people look back without searching for a beginning. They know it did not start in one place. It arrived slowly. The quiet feels like a companion now. Not chosen. Not rejected. It simply stays. Some people notice how rarely they feel the urge to name it. Words feel unnecessary. The feeling exists without explanation. They move through conversations with ease. They leave them without weight. Nothing pulls them forward. Nothing holds them back. The world continues as it always has. People speak. People listen. Some people remain still within that movement. There is no resolution waiting. No moment of return. Life does not announce change. The quiet does not promise anything. It does not ask to be understood. Some people sense that this is not an ending. Just a pause that stretches. Time passes through it. They do not try to fill it. They do not try to escape it. They let it remain undefined. Some people notice that silence can hold many things. Relief. Distance. Memory. None of them fully separate. The quiet becomes a mirror at times. Not reflective. Just present. They see themselves moving within it. There is no lesson offered here. No shift demanded. The moment continues beyond observation. Some people sit with this openness. Not waiting. Not deciding. The future stays unshaped. The quiet does not close the door. It leaves it resting where it is. Some people remain there, between sound and absence. And the thought does not end.